In a previous video, I made and installed under cabinet drawer storage and new fronts for my brother's kitchen, and in this one, we'll be removing the old worktop and fitting a new one, which means I need to do my first ever mason's mitre, and it did not go well. The first job was to remove the old worktop, and once we got all of the screws out, we needed to unplumb the sink, which was straightforward as there were isolator valves on the pipes. The new worktops are from IKEA, and they come provided with these laminate strips for the ends, which I'll need to fit later. My brother started removing the bottom row of tiles ready for the new worktop to go in, and in the meantime, I need to get acquainted with this, a worktop router jig. Regular viewers will know I'm not much of a fan of the router. Generally, if there's a way I can make a cut with any other tool other than the router, that's what I'll do. So when my brother asked me to do this job, I wasn't feeling as confident as I would have been with any other woodworking task. We got the jig from a local tool hire company at £20 per day, and it came provided with a DVD that looked like it was filmed in the 80s. We needed to decide how deep the worktop should be and how big an overhang we wanted, and we settled on 620mm. The new ones from IKEA measured 635mm, so we needed to make a rip cut. So now for the mason's mitre. I have a 30mm guide bush fitted to my router and a 12.7mm or ½ inch bit, which is 60mm in length. In other words, more than long enough to cut through the worktop. So as you can see, we've got the worktop flipped upside down. This is the area where we're going to be cutting our female portion. On the jig, it says green is female joint, red is male, and yellow is for the connector recess, which we'll worry about later. And the female joint needs to be the same length as the male joint, which is the depth of the worktop, which is 620mm in our case. Even though we're going to be cutting the female joint first, I am going to be adding the pins to the red holes first, and I'm doing that just to set the depth stop. So I'm going to position the pins so that they're referencing along the front edge of the worktop, and then I can use this depth stop to reference against the back edge of the worktop and tighten it down. So that's now set to 620mm. With that now set, I'm going to remove the pins from the red holes and add them to the green holes ready for cutting the female joint. And once again, I'm referencing my pins up against the front edge of the worktop and the depth stop to the end of the worktop. And now I'm going to clamp this down, and I need to think about where the base of my router is going to be traveling. If I add this clamp to this corner, by the time I bring in my router, that's going to be fouling on this clamp. To get around this issue, I used an old L bracket screwed to the underside of the worktop through one of the pinholes, which worked well. I can see by using my framing square in this corner that we're out by, I would say, 3 to 4mm. I'm not going to worry about that for my female cut though. So to make the female cut, I have the bit set to cut about 6mm into the worktop, and I'll be doing this in multiple passes. Lowering the bit about 6mm each time, using the turret and depth stop thing on my plunge router. Now here's mistake number 1, which fortunately is only a minor one. I really should have been supporting the offcut here. Fortunately I got away with it, but it's possible I could have experienced the laminate tearing out here. And I only realised this when watching back this footage. But it was a case of so far so good, a nice clean cut. Now measuring up for the length, and I'm going to cut this about 4mm short as we don't need a tight fit. 2285. Since when the new tiles go in, they will cover the worktop edges, and this time we supported the waste piece.
Do you want to just hold it so it doesn't flop?
When we got it in, it was touching the wall along the back edge in one area, so I scribed a line referencing from the wall and did a terrible job at filming that. Now my brother is figuring out where he wants his new sink, and I can mark around it. The sink has a 15mm lip all the way around, so I just need to mark up my cut lines 15mm in from those original marks. I did lots of measuring and double checking. Now I need to route out the recesses for the worktop bolts into the underside of the worktop using the yellow pinholes this time, and this jig can be configured to utilise the end stop again for this, but I didn't bother. Instead I can just work to measurements with the jig set to cut the recesses centred at 150mm and 450mm from the back edge. And the same principles apply again, routing 6mm deeper each time, but this time to a depth of 28mm rather than routing all of the way through, of course. Now to prepare what will be the mating piece of worktop. Off camera I ripped that down to 620mm depth too, and we want this to finish flush with the end wall here. Once it's positioned, we can mark a cut line from underneath. Anyway, before things go horribly wrong, a quick break for the sponsor of this video. Have you ever searched for something weird on the internet and then immediately regretted it? Yeah, me too, and now I get shown ads thinking I'm into whatever that was. Surfshark VPN hides your IP, encrypts your data, and makes you basically invisible online like some kind of digital ninja. It allows you to browse safely on public Wi-Fi, watch online videos and shows available to people in other countries, and stop advertisers following you around. Thinking of booking a holiday? Why not do a bit of digital country hopping to find the best deals? You only need one account to protect unlimited devices. It comes with 24/7 support, a 30-day money-back guarantee, and includes antivirus software to help protect your devices. With the new Online Safety Act, which started here in the UK over the summer, even regular websites are now making you prove you're over 18 to access the content. So if you value privacy, security, and the right to search for weird stuff in peace, hit the link in the description and use the promo code RAGANDBONE to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Using my framing square, I can tell it's off, which means we'll need to pivot the jig slightly to match that angle, which means only one of the pins will be referencing the front edge. The pins go in the male holes, and I need to offset the jig from the cut line by 9mm because that's the offset of the guide bush in relation to the router bit. So I'm using a combination of packers adding up to 9mm just to position the jig that exact distance from our cut line at both the front and the back to make sure we get the correct angle. Now this is where I made the biggest mistake. Here I'm thinking to myself, if I enter this cut from the front, the router cutter will be spinning away from the front laminate edge, which is likely to result in chip out. The reason the mistake I'm about to make is so embarrassing is because only a few days prior to doing this job, I watched a video about how to do a mason's mitre joint by my friend Lewis, who is a professional carpenter. Great channel, by the way, links down below. Anyway, in it he said,
so we actually need to turn this bit of worktop over and route from the other side. So if our router cutter's going in this direction here, all the breakout's going to be on that side, so it's not going to break this nice edge that we've got down here.
Now for whatever reason, that didn't stick in my mind. But if I'd have only flipped the worktop before making the cut, I'd have no doubt got a nice clean cut. On the DVD that came with the jig, which I also had fresh in my mind, the male cut, as in the cut that I was about to make, was made with the finished face of the worktop placed face down. So in my head, I had set it up in the correct orientation. But that's because the guy on the DVD was basically cutting his worktop joint in the opposite orientation to ours. To add to the confusion, in the heat of the moment I even asked ChatGPT for advice, and it implied that the worktop should be in the same orientation for both male and female cuts. What I should have done was watched Lewis's video again for a refresher, but for some stupid reason I didn't, and I can see myself on the footage thinking, do I just need to make this cut slowly and carefully, working in a clockwise motion to minimise tear out? So that's what I attempted to do. But first I added some masking tape thinking maybe that might help minimise any tear out. Spoiler alert, it didn't. The first cut looked okay though, so I kept going, thinking this is a brand new sharp router bit, how bad can it be? And this was what I ended up with. I know, it looks horrific. And later on, when chatting to Lewis, he said this, and I kicked myself hard. So then I went back to ChatGPT with what I'd since learned, and it said this. I'm going to include the rest of this conversation as well because I think it's pretty interesting. If you want to read it all, you'll probably just need to pause the video here. So I guess the moral of this story is don't trust ChatGPT, do trust Lewis, and if you want to learn from an idiot's mistakes, then you've found the right video. I'm going to super glue this big chip right back where it came from. And I have some colour fill here, which we'd picked up for using on the mason's mitre joint, but this will be useful for hiding some of the smaller tear out. The colour fill comes with some solvent for cleaning away the excess. It looked like the joint wouldn't quite go together tight until I removed a bit of material from the back edge, so that's what I did. Now I can route out the recess holes in the male joint. And finally we can get these two pieces together using some of these worktop joining bolts. I'm using PVA glue here on both mating surfaces, and at the top a good splodge of the colour fill which will help hide the join. It's also heat and water resistant. Getting the joint closed up and the top surfaces flush with one another took quite a bit of fettling, but we got there in the end. And after cleaning away the excess colour fill, I've definitely seen worse worktop joints than this before. For a first attempt, aside from the tear out mistake of course, I'm not going to give myself too much of a hard time. And on the plus side, at least we learned something. Next, my brother got the worktop fixed to the cabinets, and I started working on the final piece of worktop. And for this, I just used the old piece as a template, as I knew it was a really good fit. This is where I need to add a piece of laminate to finish the end, and after masking off the top surface, I applied some spray contact adhesive to both mating surfaces and waited a minute or two for it to go tacky before sticking it on. A bit of filing and sanding, and then it's looking almost as good as the factory finished edges. The final jobs for me were fitting the two end panels which I had made in the previous kitchen video. These were just scribed to fit and then secured with angle brackets. Then I fitted all of the cabinet and drawer handles. And a couple of weeks later, when my brother had done all of the tiling, I was back just to add silicone. And here's how the finished kitchen turned out. Thanks for watching.